What if Iron Man wasn't just a cool idea, but a full D&D one-shot your table could play tonight? Today we're bringing Iron Man into a complete one-shot, breaking down the design, the drama, and the decisions that make it work at the table. Ever wonder how to make Iron Man into your own D&D campaign? We'll show you how to do it. After all, this is how we brew it. Homebrew is where the heart is. It's where dungeon masters, murder hobos, dice goblins, and chaos gremlins come together to turn big ideas into unforgettable adventures. So how do you take that spark, a setting, a villain, and a mechanic, and turn it into something that actually works at the table? It's simple. We brew it. We've got 6 flavorful categories to walk through, designed to help you build campaigns that capture the feel of your favorite worlds and IPs. And we're talking about Iron Man. But first, today, Taylor, our sponsor is D&T. So, Taylor, I'm going to challenge you to do this ad read for D&T as if you were a character from Iron Man 1.
Oh my gosh, wait, what characters are in Iron Man 1? Other than Iron Man? There's so many, like, auxiliary characters. Because I almost straight up went for, what's it called? The robot puppet? Ultron.
Well, Ultron is technically, it's the spoiler alert, Ultron is in the first movie, just spoilers, as Jarvis.
Spoilers. He is Jarvis. Okay, here we go. If you've ever hit that mid-season slump where your brain just logs out right, as the DM asks what you do. Yes, same, Mr. Stark. That's why I've been drinking D&T, even though I cannot technically drink. I do need you to know, this isn't just a tea, it's your long rest in a cup. Whether you're channeling arcane focus or inventing the next big weapon that nobody actually needs, D&T blends are crafted to keep your mind sharp and your roleplay sharper. Smooth, flavorful, and dangerously easy to drink, min-monologue, or while you're repairing your own heart. If you want to try it, you can use code TSP for 15% off. Not only are you upgrading your table experience, you're directly supporting the show and the Avengers. So yes, grab some D&T, keep your brain or your AI online, and maybe, just maybe, you won't forget your tools or your suit next time.
Okay, thanks D&T for sponsoring our show. Now I want you to play an AI voice character.
Oh my God, I would love to.
And just narrate my life.
I could do that.
And well, I'll come with an acronym for Taylor to have to be like technology, artificial,
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into the categories. For B, base build. What are the core components? The must-haves are resonance and vibe. This is where we make our poetic hearts sing. E, extra froth. What makes this wildly fun? W, weird for us. That strange little twist you'd never find on D&D Beyond. I, an inciting quest. Every good campaign needs a reason to leave home and get kidnapped and be stuck in a cave and get tortured by terrorists until you decide to invent a freaking super weapon in order to escape. And T, threat level. Let's talk danger. Who or what is the big bad and what's their challenge rating? Narratively and mechanically. All right, Taylor. Let's kick this off with the first category of base build.
Yeah.
What are the essential components and must-haves of this world? We're going to be talking about these types of movies as we did with Captain America. We're talking about Iron Man. We're just kind of talking about all of them as we approach Doomsday, Doom and Dune. We're going to cover Dune at some point too. But Doomsday coming up for Avengers, and we're just going to go through all the old Avengers movies and kind of talk about them. So excited about that. Iron Man 1 is one of my favorite Marvel movies, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about how do we get like the superhero origin story going? How do we get Iron Man, the campaign, going?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually a little more curious about your take since it is one of your favorite movies. I will not lie. This is one of, for me, the least memorable movies from the Avengers Phase 1 canon. I was always more of a Hulk guy. But yeah, when it came to Iron Man, I mainly remember when it comes to this like origin story kind of vibe, I mainly remember it being like, okay, this is a playboy billionaire, like has an attitude, works for the government, like is making deals just for money. It doesn't even work for the government. He just makes deals with the government for money.
Right. He's an arms contractor for the
yeah,
US
and then
military.
he gets stuck in like he doesn't really get stuck in it, but he's taken as a war prisoner, like he like fully a hostage.
Yep.
And then has to literally invent his way out of the situation. Yeah, and then becomes a superhero. Like by almost, I wouldn't say by default, but almost like he is put through a difficult situation that like forces him to become the hero that he is, which I think is, I will say, a fascinating origin story. Other than most heroes are just like, you killed my aunt, and I'm gonna get back at you by becoming a superhero, or I was a part of an experiment. Like this one feels more of a like an interesting a mini anti-hero arc of like, this is someone who technically should be a villain, or is a villain in the eyes of society, but finds his way to becoming a hero. So I wonder, and again, I want to hear from you more, but my initial instinct is for base build, does this have to become your characters, if you're playing an Iron Man origin story hero as a one-shot, are your characters all starting from, we don't have any classes, we don't have any it's like special powers, any weapons, any abilities, and we are put in a difficult situation, tipping into Inciting Quest a little bit, we are put into a difficult situation in which then we have to roll and narratively come up and piece together our character sheets as we go through the story and the game. That's my initial thought.
Yeah, so one thing I really like about Iron Man, the movie in the first place, and brief aside for the Hulk, I like Edward Norton Hulk better than Mark Ruffalo Hulk.
Okay.
But Mark Ruffalo Hulk is probably better for the Avengers because he's a nicer guy.
He is a nicer guy. That's
because we also needed less ego actors, you know.
Yes.
Anyway, so Iron Man 1 comes out in 2008. That is such a long time ago now.
Wow.
It's over 17, 18 years old, and we got to remember, right, that superhero movies have been Superman, Batman, and then in the mid 2000s, early aughts, it's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And like we get a little bit of the Hulk TV show back in the day. We get some Wonder Woman TV show, but like it's mostly not in the public consciousness, especially any other superhero but those three: Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, a little bit of Wonder Woman, and then everything else is like extra nerdy, right?
Yeah.
So Iron Man comes out, and we get him like deciding to make his suit hot rod red and yellow, right? we get him experimenting. We get him being the billionaire playboy philanthropist. We also get like a superhero who's not all that good, and we also get a superhero who's like if this was Batman, it'd be like a broody story, and like even we have the Dark Knight coming out in a relatively similar time, and we get a moment where Christian Bale as Batman is the billionaire playboy, where he walks into his like penthouse of suite with two women on his side out of a helicopter and shows up late and all of this. But like it's like dressing, right? Mm-hmm. Dressing on your salad. Like it's not anything close to the core of what's going on in the story. And for Tony Stark, like most of this movie is outside of the suit.
Yeah.
Right? And at the very end, he finally says, I am Iron Man, and we get to play Iron Man by Iron Maiden. And it's like, and he even wears the Iron Maiden like shirt and stuff like that. And it was so new. It was so punk rock. It was so different than anything we had seen before. That's why it's one of the best ones. It's also extremely concise. It gives you a lot of good moments, and we get to see Robert Downey Jr. be a great actor. So what I would say, though, is the big difficulty for this would be, okay, Iron Man 1 is mostly about inventing things and then one guy doing the thing, right? And so for a D&D one-shot, how do we accomplish that? And for me, in order to get the feel correct, you would have to either A, like everybody agrees this player is going to play Iron Man, right? And they're going to give them the suit, and we're going to go find the parts first to build some sort of magical suit, and we're going to put it all together, and we'll do this thing. Or we have to cheat a little bit and not do it straight up, right? So I like your idea, for the record, of where I would start is everybody has the ability to like either earn their character throughout because like, and we only use like magic weapons and like items and stuff. And like, we don't even have like classes or anything of that kind. Right. Or like, we like spend a lot of time inventing the magic weapons, I guess. But maybe that's what we would do because like a huge portion of the arc is him trying to figure out how to escape. Like it's probably like 25%, 30% of the film is getting captured and trying to escape from his imprisonment.
Yeah.
And building the first Iron Man suit to make this happen.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, that's a good point. I think like hearing your ideas, but also agreeing with the last thing you said about most of it is him escaping. I do think, again, when it comes to Inciting Quest, I really think it needs to be like, if not 1/3, 1/2. If not 1/2, 1/3 of your one shot for this should be the characters like imprisoned in a dungeon, like locked away. But here's the thing, I think we can get the Iron Man feel with, so in my opinion, I think this could work as with getting the Iron Man feel if we do like choose someone, right, to be this person. I think that teeters on like less fun for everybody else. It teeters on it, especially if you're like this person. Like it's possible you might just end up wanting to play one-on-one with DM.
This is an excellent one-on-one session,
which is awesome, right? I will say if the option. It's an excellent one-on-one session. If the option is to include more people, I think it would be fine to be like, oh, this is a family of billionaires. This is like a family, a very wealthy family of billionaires who are each intelligent in their own right, who all get like basically like kidnapped or locked away, like become criminals of war because their like rival or whatever wants them locked up and wants to take over their company. This leans a little bit away from Iron Man 1 as far as like the big bad goes, but I'm like, that could be a like divergence a little because it kind of starts pushing into, what is it, Iron Man 3?
Iron Man 3 a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the whip guy.
Iron Man 2 is the whip guy. Iron Man 3 is the Mandarin, which was a...
Yeah. I think I meant Iron Man 2 because the whip guy is the one who wants to take over. Who's like, I'm getting revenge for my dad, and is like, I'm gonna be better than Stark. Like that, he's kind of kicking him out of the company.
You know, Taylor, I am very upset at you right now. But how dare you forget Marvel's incredible villain lineup in the Iron Man movie series? Like each one extremely memorable. Deep backstory, great acting, incredible storytelling for all three of the actors who did that, and the scripts for those people, all three villains. Amazing.
Yes. And they all had so much impact in the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, I have a great question for you, Taylor.
Yep.
Pop quiz. What was the name of the character of the villain in Iron Man 1?
Money. Which is technically true.
It's technically true. Okay, yeah. You know what? I give it to you. What we were looking for.
What's his name?
What we were looking for is Ironmonger.
Who's Ironmonger?
It was Jeff Bridges.
Oh, he was in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. His name's like Obadiah, and he's like, I remember we were just spending for money and blah, blah, blah. And we could just be parading around and we said that we could be making money. You know, that's basically what he said.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Still a better villain than some, you know.
That's true. But I mean, in that context, I'm like, again, if we're going to just do this straight, I think it should be I think one-on-one would be a little bit better if you want to keep to the actual like plot, beat for beat, plot for plot, what's happening. Play with one player, one DM. Make sure that this character has that they have no class. They are just like what I've done in the past for this. Kyle's we've chatted about this a lot, but what I've done in the past for like building characters from zero through roleplay, which is a very fun game mechanic, is to just have them have 8s for all their abilities, have them have no class, only pick a background if we're sticking to D&D. And whatever features come in that background and proficiencies is fine. But you, in the first third of the game, having them in this like stone prison and having to invent their way out, they have to actually roll for their abilities in order to roll any skill. So it's like, oh, well, I need an investigation check to figure out if there are any weak points in this cave. Great, you're going to roll intelligence for the first time, and then you're going to pick another stat as your dump stat, and we'll roll both of these abilities at once, and the dump stat will get the lower number, the intelligence will get the higher number, and then you can roll investigation. And now you're like discovering who you are as a hero as you go along in the first third. So then when you break out, a la the way Tony Stark does, the rest of the 2/3 of the one shot, the other 2 hours that you guys are playing, is that character having to deal with the trauma of being locked in prison, and then having to go through normal life, and then having their enemy still in their like field of vision throughout their normal life, and then having, third hour being like big battle, also like actively having, maybe actively picking your class before the last hour of the one shot and being like, no, I'm gonna be whatever we end up choosing for Iron Man as a class. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, most people would assume Iron Man is an artificer.
So would I, but I'm like, I don't want to force that on anybody.
Right.
But he's an artificer.
So I mean, I think, so now we're going for the base build. I think it is important for you to figure out the actual origin story of what's going to be, because you're right. Like, we can't just, if it's a one-on-one, you can do a lot of stuff, right? But if it's going to be a party, I think the family of billionaires all getting like there, and they have access to stuff, and they're imprisoned, and they invent their way to an escape. So the only other thing we need to do is to really talk about how we're going to invent stuff and what are we inventing, and then we'll kind of be set. The reason I also personally would shy away from the Artificer somewhat is because the Artificer is intended to be a balance for a long-term campaign, and you're not supposed to be a superhero. Like, when you're, unless you hit like, level 10, 12, like, you're not supposed to be a superhero when you like are starting out your D&D campaign. You're supposed to be an adventurer and there's supposed to be a vast difference, right? Like, when we watch, we want in Iron Man 1, one of the cool moments is Tony figures out he can use his like little like shoulder rockets, and he goes, he like targets like 15 people, and then he kills them all. He killed them. Oh my god, is he really a hero? But yeah, see, like,
anti-hero,
right? He like kills them all, and it's like, oh my god, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And like, when we were all in the theater back then, we were like, dang, that was cool, right?
It was like awesome.
In D&D, right? Like 15 people fought like that. That's not how that would work, right? Like, your Scorching Ray, a second level spell or whatever, is like 3 targets, right? Lame, right? And also, all 3 targets, none of them are dying to that. Like, if you're fighting relatively normal enemies, right? And you don't get Fireball until then, but you also don't get the precision that's there from the Iron Man like shoulder rocket type thing.
Right.
So we would probably need to construct some way to invent these machines in order to, these magic items to and let you become Iron Man. What do you think about that? How can we build this, and what's the system?
Yeah, I think, well, okay. If it's one player, I do think it is fine to choose Artificer. If it's a family, I think we should get rid of Artificer and maybe be a little more creative. Either way, I think you should be rolling for your characters to get to level 5. Or, sorry, what did they say in Dimension 20? They did this once. Epic level 6.
Yes.
Which I like.
Epic level 6 is a huge deal.
Yeah, which is fun. So I'm like, oh, like, that's the character you're creating as you play in the first hour, is you're creating an epic level 6 character. So you're not just creating a level 1 character. You're actually like, you're giving them, and the way you could do this, especially if they're an artificer, is like, oh, you're like, as they discover things, as they build things, they're like getting those artificer infusions, which are literally like, here's a hammer, here's this suit of armor, here are these boots, like, that's, here's this homunculus that you named Jarvis, like, it's, you know what I mean, those little things. But if it's a family and we're going to epic level 6, I think it's like, the fun thing to do is have them build, if you have one of them building armor and you want to call them a paladin, that's really cool, because that's way more superhero-esque than than an artificer, especially at epic level 6. If you want to call them I don't know, like a reskinned barbarian or a fighter. I mean, a lot of the martial classes are going to come with armor, which is why I'm thinking that direction. Yeah, what you thinking?
I think the one twist I would add to make it feel like Iron Man is that I would have them build an epic level 6 character, but they're only epic level 6, so they only get their stats and they only get their things if they're holding the magic item. If they lose the magic item, right? Like Tony, there's a moment in Iron Man 3, one of the best moments of Iron Man 3, I believe, is Iron Man loses access to his suit. And we're like, oh man, there's this question that's kind of in the movie is like, is the hero the suit or is the hero Iron Man, aka Tony Stark? And we get to see Tony Stark like invent a little thing and like go around and beat a bunch of guards and do all this stuff. And you're like, he's the hero, right? And we get a later sequence, which is a little ridiculous, where he's like fighting like 40 suits and he just blows them all up. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's actually Iron Man. The man in the suit makes makes it man over the machine, right?
Exactly.
And so I would definitely do that. Like where like we could, if you just kind of empower it and you figured out as a dungeon master how you want to like flavor all of the classes into being like a more Iron Man like, that would be a thing that I might try and do for super advanced play. This is where my mind goes, but this is like, is I would try and let your players break cantrips and abuse them. So like, if you could build a chill touch gun, right? Just like, and it's cantrips, so you can just cast it infinitely, and you break the rules of the system of magic, right? That's a very powerful weapon, and it would feel really cool. And this is a one shot, so you don't have to worry about the long term implications of what's going on here.
Yeah,
I would have them all try and like break a spell, and then spend time over time trying to build what they're doing, right? And like maybe you could build it like first level spells and cantrips and try and break these if you combine a bunch of them. And doing a bunch of like roles for research, roles for experiments, and like gathering resources and like negotiating their way to get the access to the stuff they need. This is the sort of stuff they go for, right? Reminder, how Tony Stark gets all the stuff that he gets is he's supposed to be building them like missiles and weapons for these terrorists. So in theory, that's what the billionaire family who's got kidnapped is supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be doing some sort of a magical experiment. And so they get enough supplies and they can kind of go with that negotiations scenario.
Yeah, I think that reminds me, okay, so I'm gonna dip into extra froth and weird for us a little bit. I think that reminds me of something that you brought up when it came to heists. We talked about this in our heist episode, where players like the montage, players like the planning. So give them time to plan, give them time to do the thing, right? And when it comes to Iron Man, I think something that's important is building the thing.
Yep.
So yes, we have the creation of our characters. We have the experimentation. I still think we should, there should be a part of the way I'm splitting this up is like a 3-hour one shot. So like the first hour is family's trapped in a cave. Family has to roll all their abilities, but they have to invent each at least one thing to help get them out, right?
Yep.
And that's just with the things around them, right? Then there's hour 2 where they're out. They're back at their company, but they've gone through this crazy thing, right? And I think, and we know we're going to get to big battle world, big bad, our threat level, whatever, in hour 3. We know we're going there. We have to make the actual hero stuff now, like in the second hour. And so it's like you said with the heist, people like to actually do the montage. They like to plan. What you're saying with this, I think, is very accurate. Have the second hour, in my opinion, be, okay, let's do persuasions and let's do deceptions and let's do research for, which person were we going to hit up for a deal later this week for this material that can get us a cantrip version of Fireball? Like what were we going to, who were we going to go to that for those material components? We're going to go to this wizard guy named Frankfurter or whatever. We have to we have to actually go and still make this deal and role play that out, but we have to roll persuasion to actually get one over on him that we are, yeah, for sure we're gonna build you the spell scroll for Fireball. That's exactly what we're doing. And then you take it back and you're like, cool. So we're gonna build a Fireball gun like on our suit, on our magic armor. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I think we have to let our party members do that, you know, and go through that process, because I think that's just as fun. And it also allows you time to like build up the big bad. But in my opinion, that's like I like the idea of having the characters actually go through the interactions, trying to get the things, not just being like, oh, we have all the stuff in the lab already or in the workshop or whatever.
No, you would definitely need to, like, in order for them to make that interaction interesting and be able to last the first hour in the first place, is like they need to be able to build a proof of concept, but it's very weak, right? And then they spend the second hour building the real thing, and then they use it to fight the big bad and do the thing. And once they build the real thing,
you throw in a battle in hour 2 that's like dinky, like you know, them testing the magic items or armor or whatever. Have them like go and be like, okay, we have to test this. Somebody's robbing an old lady's bake shop. Let's go test it on her, and then it fails. It actually like you said, there's a moment when Tony Stark doesn't have the armor. Have them like not have the weapons for a second. Like that's very fascinating. Or have their weapons like crap out in the middle of the battle, and then it's like, oh boy, okay, back to the workshop. And it's, you know, they get to work on it again. So when the big bad's here, it's like, okay, we just finished this and we haven't tested it, but we have to fight this guy. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Okay, that's exciting. Let's just go through the final bits then. So we're going to go through the Resonance and Vibe. We actually have, ironically, not touched this at all.
Crazy, yeah.
Ironically? Iron Man? Ironic. Anyway.
That was a stretch.
I mean, iron and ironic. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's weird that we haven't actually touched that first, but this one is much more of a tricky mechanical story build because of the way that the Iron Man movie goes.
Yes.
So for Resonance and Vibe, like, the really cool things that I think happen in the context of the movie is, despite all the difficulty that Tony Stark goes through, Tony Stark is funny, he's charismatic, and there's a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor, right? There's also this ultimate like fear of death. Like Tony almost dies, and he builds the arc reactor into his chest in order to save himself from death, right? Like crazy stuff like that. And eventually, right, we get the moment where we have like in a case, proof that Tony Stark has a heart, and it's his arc reactor, right? Like all these cute little moments and humorous moments, and like the hot rod metal moment where he decides to do that, and we get to play Iron Man as Iron Maiden at the end. Like, we need there to be a little bit of rock and roll in the story that we just built. Our story is like cool, but not a lot of rock and roll in it. So how would we accomplish that in particular, do you think? How would you prep the rock and roll?
Play rock and roll music. No, as it's technically not that simple, but in my mind, that is what I go to, is pull out the classics. Pull out the playlist, man. Get the
Go ask your resident old white 55-year-old man, what are your favorite songs? And then he'll be like, here we go.
Type in the classic rock on Apple Music or Spotify, and it'll give you the playlist. Like, it's all there. But I'm like, literally, what is it called? We can't sing it because we don't have the copyright. But what's the song? It's not Jack is Black, but it's the one. It's that.
Back in Black.
Back in Black. Thank you. Back in Black. Yeah. We can only sing that much, or else we get in trouble. But it's like, have that backed up. Have Dream On backed up. Have all these really good. Have Iron Maiden on the list. Like, have it all there, because you having these moments when they break out of the prison for the first time, which I think you should play Back in Black when they break out of the prison, because that is so cool. Have when they're working on the stuff, like Barracuda, like have all these little cool moments where you play these songs that make them go, yeah, I am a superhero. It's like, that's cool, But that's also very Tony Stark to have that music playing in the background. So,
Yeah, I think the other thing would be, so this one has where you're going to invent a bunch of stuff, right? I think you as a dungeon master should be prepared to talk about how you invent things and how you build that out, and have the decisions that you roll, make it like a 3-roll type deal to make and invent the thing, right? But have descriptions prepared for how you will actually describe how things are being built. And you're going to have these descriptions that you're going to need to adapt them for what's going to happen in the story, because you're not going to know what the players are going to do, but you're going to be prepped to narrate some stuff and then say, ooh, but this complication comes up. And you say, okay, can you solve this problem? And then if they roll successful, like, yes, you figure it out. With the resources you have, you figure out how to solve it. And, you keep playing Barracuda, right? But like when the thing fails, you're like, ooh, okay, this is a stopping point for you. You cannot proceed further. You need to solve this problem. And they'll say, ooh, okay, if it's overheating, we need to figure out a way to cool it down rapidly. And we're going to, you can figure out all of the mumbo jumbo of how you're actually going to get there. But I think those types of things will help those montages feel more montagey. And then you can have the Barracuda music playing underneath, and it'll feel like as you like do the thing. Like when we watch classic movies like Rocky, you don't watch every single second of Rocky's training because that would be horribly boring. You get to see a montage of his training, and it's really exciting. That's kind of what we want to see here too.
Yeah. I wonder, Kyle, just as we get closer to the end here, could you give us an example, like point for point, of what a DM could do for creating like an invention mechanic or process that would actually be helpful? Just because I think when you're like, oh yeah, just do the thing, I think my brain goes, yeah, but I'm like, I don't know everybody would know what to do.
Yeah. So I would for great storytelling, lots of things are broken down into 3s. So have 3 different steps for them to achieve what they're trying to achieve, right? And set a difficulty of the first breakthrough is probably just an 11, right? Second breakthrough is like a 15, and then keep the third one like 15 to 17-ish. But like by the time that they've gotten there, you've probably given them enough bonuses where they're going to probably be able to figure out how to get there. And you're hoping as they go that they fail at one of these things, right? And if they happen to succeed every time, you can still, with their successes, give them information. But here's how this would break down even further, right? So, okay, the person is like, I want to invent a suit of armor. You're like, great.
Yes.
You want to create the suit of armor. What are you trying to accomplish with this armor? And they say, I want to make sure that it basically is invulnerable, and with the magic spell list I have available to me, or like et cetera. And I would literally hand them the spell book and say like, okay, well, what spell are you going to use to try and create that? I'm going to give you some time. And then I would rotate to the next person and keep going. It'd give people time to kind of like think and plan the weird combination of spells, and like read the spells and look at them. And then when I get back to that original player, I'd say, okay, what are you trying to do? And they say, okay, well, I want to use the spell Warding Bond to make this happen. And I was like, interesting. Tell me more of the logic of that. And they say, okay, this is the logic. Great. Okay, cool. Let's roll an Arcana check to see if you can figure out how to like even get started here.
Yeah.
Right. And hopefully they pass, because then you're like, cool, you figure out how that works and you think you can do this. But what you're missing is blank magic thing. You need
the components.
Some components, right? Yeah. You need the spell components, right? And you don't have the spell components on you because you're imprisoned, right? And they're like, okay. And then they can go figure out how to get the components, right? If they fail, you could say, you don't know if that works or not, but what you do know for sure is that you don't have the components to even try, right? And they're like, okay, right? And if they succeed, you would give them a bonus or a hint or like advantage to figure out how to get what they want. Well, regardless, you're giving them information. Yeah. One common thing that Dungeon Masters will do is the person fails, so they get no information. Yeah. And that is usually discouraged, because most of the time, you actually want them to know the information to get across. So their failure is receiving better information or more accurate information or deeper information.
Right.
So in general, do that, right? Same thing for the second check, same thing for the third check. You've prepared how these things will progress. And again, basically how I would break it down would be you have montage narrations prepared for describing how you would take a generic spells and like trying to build them out into a suit of armor. And you have a monologue for suits of armor, you have monologues for weapons, you have monologues for miscellaneous items. You got these prepared and you've built them out in 3 stages.
Yeah.
You do the 3 stages, those lead to quests, you solve the quest, you bring it back, you roll again, you invent the thing, etc. And you can have some narrations built for when they fail and narrations when they built when they succeed.
That's really cool, Kyle. I like that. I think, and again, not to be too long-winded, but I think that's really cool because it gives me the idea of like, if they fail, especially if they fail the first or the second one, maybe even the third, have them pick a list of 3, or you could have a list of 3 prepared, so that if they fail one, you go, hey, warding bond didn't work, but true strike might, that's not the same, or like invisibility might, and that's they go, oh, okay, it's like, maybe I'm going, so then it's like their character, because their characters are geniuses, so it's like, instead of being like, pick something else, be like, hey, it's not that you're wrong, it's that you're going the wrong direction. And it's like, oh, cool. So then they just can pivot and then keep going, Going back to resonance and vibe, right? The most important part of players, every single player who wants to play a super genius character deserves to feel like a super genius as they play, right? When someone wants to play a detective, you want to make them feel smart. If someone wants to play a flirty bard, you want to make sure I think not all get everything they want all the time with the smart people as well, but you want to make them feel cool and suave and attractive, right? You want to make the barbarian feel powerful, right? You want to make them feel that way because that's what they're looking for, but you also want to make sure they earn it, right? So when they fail, does the genius when they fail, right? Especially in a one-shot like this, do you want them to get no information? Does a genius get no information? Absolutely not. They would get some, right? Yep. Now, you might finally give them like this really difficult puzzle in a long campaign that they have to try and solve over 5 sessions. Mm-hmm. And they're going to bang their head against the wall for 5 sessions. But then you're going to subtly help them figure out the solution. And then by the 6th session, you run it, they're going to solve it. They're going to feel like a genius again. Yeah. You're in a one shot. You only have about 3 hours to make this happen. So make sure they get to feel smart throughout the entire time, because that's your goal as a dungeon master, to make them, like, again, if we were playing Tony Stark or Reed Richards or Batman, and Batman doesn't get to feel like smart and stealthy, like, what are we doing? That just sucks, right? For everybody, like, overall. Yeah, so I agree. And also keep in mind the fact that when you're rolling these checks, I know we said 11 and 15 and maybe 17 for the DCs. We are building them to epic level 6. So we could probably bump those if we really wanted to.
Right.
But they at least have to try and pass the first one. But it doesn't hurt to make the third one 20, especially if they do eventually break out, and their goal in the second hour is them actually having to get that 20, and being like, I'm going to solve this, Yeah,
like that's another way to go about it as well. It's like, okay, like they basically need a crit 20, but we're going to keep trying experiments until we hit crit 20, and then we do it. And like, that's a cool way to go. And then everyone will celebrate at the table when they do it. Especially, here's the other deal I would say, actually, Taylor, from a quick addendum, is if the way that all of them get to become the superhero is they have to work together on like the arc reactor, and then they need a crit 20 for the arc reactor, that will make it so that everybody gets 4 chances, and like every time, like they're like trying to figure out this. And finally, when they finally get the crit 20, it's like, boom. Now, if somebody happens to get a crit 20 in like the first 15 minutes, you may consider saying, okay, we need 2 crit 20s. But
right.
Still.
That's funny. That's really funny. But I do like that. I like the idea of in the middle of, like, they get to like hour 2 or right up to hour 3 and no one's gotten a crit 20, and one of them, it's like, okay, you're all asleep, and if it's a family, like one of the people who's like playing a kid goes, I wake up in the middle of the night because I think if I have an idea, and I go into the living room to try to do the arc reactor, and then they roll the 20 and everyone's like, and it's like, I wake up my family members and I'm like, guys, I figured it out. Like, that's such a cool moment,
Right. Or even like, it's like, okay, guys, like the villain is coming in and you haven't built the suit yet. And everyone's like, oh my God. Right?
Yeah. And that moment of like, we did it. We solved it. You know what I mean?
Build the suit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And for a resonance and vibe, just because this came up, I'm like, oh, build the suit. DM, get your Jarvis voice in order. Like, be ready. Even if they're not named Jarvis, Figure it out. Figure it out, because that's going to be you the whole game.
All right. To recap, as we go through the trying to make Iron Man into a one-shot, consider making this a one-on-one DM session, because then you get to give the guy the power fantasy of being Iron Man, which is cool. Otherwise, run it as a family of billionaires who are kidnapped in prison and they have to invent their way to escape. You reveal the character sheets and get stats and bonuses as you go. And each character builds a magic item that makes the character epic level 6 when they have the item, but when they don't have the item, they're just a regular person. Experiment and build the armor and weapons that will make them epic level 6. They must invent the magic item through like this narrative montages and skill checks. And in the first hour of the session, make the magic item. That's them making the magic item and figuring out how to escape. The second hour is building the hero epic level 6 versions of the item and making themselves superheroes. And then the third hour is fighting the big bad all around. And the second hour, they're going to work together to build the arc reactor, or whatever that is, that magic MacGuffin glue that makes it all happen. They need a crit 20 to make it happen, and prep some great rock music for extra vibes.
Yes.
Any final thoughts here, Taylor?
No. I think we hit most of it we hit the nail on the head for the most part, yeah?
Well, then, if you like this video, you can like and subscribe for more content like this, and we'll see you in the next video.
This is how we brew it. Jurassic Park, How to Train Your Dragon, The Princess Bride, Inception, Matrix, Mad Max, Fury Road, John Wick, Ghostbusters, Pokemon, Hunger Games, 28 days later.
Hey there, just want to shout out to our patrons. Thanks so much for subscribing on Patreon and supporting the show. Thanks to Count Bubba, Fizz, Fedorable Will, Richard, Varner Jr., and Who's Scruffy Looking.